mode. All right,
Roll it.
Harrison, take the helm.
Good morning. Thank you for joining and zooming in. I guess the president of Zoom is no longer, is that the case, Jim?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that was a dangerous remark on his part.
How many duffel bags of greenbacks did he leave with? Anyway, looking at the agenda, it's like a skeleton of an agenda. And I think most of our time has been all COVID and testing and vaccine related. So, and that's a significant chunk of it. Okay, first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. Any corrections? And I think we have some.
I just made, again, thank Alicia for her efforts. I mean, the minutes are very detailed, and for anyone that's not attending or couldn't attend the meeting, have been spot on. I just recommend 2 minor adjustments, which I've discussed with her, and nothing substantive at all. So I make a motion subject to those small little corrections to be approved.
Second.
Russ, could you just mention them again? Page 2.
Sure. Yeah, page 2, just a grammatical the in paragraph 5, and then page 3, 4th paragraph, have been significantly reduced as the last comment on the 4th paragraph.
Thank you. And thank you again, Alyssa, for all the work in preparing them. Reports. Health Department, Jen.
Okay, to date, we've administered 9,513 doses. Today, we have 702 scheduled second dose Moderna, so we will surpass 10,000 doses administered today. We've done 90 homebound vaccinations so far. The vaccine rates for New Canaan, age 15 to 44, is 68.38%. 45 to 64 is 80.86%. 65 and over is 97.21, and all ages is 60.45. Now, this data is a week behind, essentially, the way the state does it. So it should be updated either later today or tomorrow. So we'll get the latest on that. Testing, we've done so far 4,383 tests with Waveney. We just had discussion this morning about, possibly scaling back, especially Fridays, because the demand has dwindled, but to keep Tuesday, Thursdays, but no decision has been formally made yet. Cases, we've gone from 30 to 15. This week, we're at 13 so far. Interesting though, from that, 4 of them are age 16 or 17. So clearly it's the younger demographic. A non-COVID front, because the health department still has other things to do. Septic permits are up 98% year over year. Building permits that we review and approve are up 35%. Plan review, which includes all septic plans, is up 53%. Soil testing for septic is up 84%. So on top of everything else, that's how I spend my nights and weekends. It's doing plan review. Ticks are up. Submissions are up 33%. And we just mailed out the pool licensing a week ago. Chris and I have to inspect and relicense all the public and condo pools before they open. We've gotten 13 back already from 21, and all the salon licensing information has to be sent out, was sent out this week, and that's all done in June. All the inspections and relicensing before we relicense them. And the garbage trucks and septic truck relicensing was also sent out, and I set the dates for June for me and Donnie to do at the transfer station. So non-COVID, we're busy, let alone adding COVID on top of it all.
Hey, Jen.
Mm-hmm.
I saw on NBC that they were doing a piece on ticks and the massive growth of ticks everywhere, but particularly Northeast and South. Is the protocol still that you bring your tick to town, as it were, for testing?
Yeah, they bring it to Vine Cottage here, and we go outside and we have a where we have our drop box for the engineers and contractors. They fill out the form there and give us the tick, and we put it in a little plastic vial. The state lab's being kind of inundated right now, so
I think so.
it's taking 3 to 4 weeks because, you know, more people are outside, so they're more prone to, you know, to find things. It's that lovely balance of public health and nature.
All right, thanks.
What are you doing with your spare time, Jen?
What would that be, Harrison?
Thought
I
it
haven't
was
had a
all-
weekend
I thought
off
it
in
was
a year
all
and a half.
testing and vaccinations, but I guess not. Anyway, thank you for that.
Jen, what's the trend line on people coming in for first vaccinations?
It's like almost non-existent. That's statewide. They
Yeah.
stopped ordering supply of like J&J, and they've cut back ordering from federal government because it's, you know, so low. So like statewide, yesterday, the numbers DPH gave, 16 to 17-year-olds, 45% have received 1 dose. Only 11% are fully vaccinated. 18 to 24-year-olds, only 42%, so even lower than the 16 to 17-year-olds have received 1 dose, and only 17% fully vaccinated. So, you know, maybe when the college kids come home, or, you know, Pfizer and Moderna have submitted for FDA formal approval. So once it's not emergency approval anymore, it's expected more employers and colleges are going to be able to mandate it.
Okay. So, but the youngins need to be nudged or required, I guess, to get vaccinated. And these new strains are, from what I read, are harder on the young people than the original strain. So they're not as protected as they might think they are. Is that correct?
I think overall, they're just more contagious and they're a little more severe.
Okay.
And the senior population is more protected by virtue of vaccinations plus ongoing isolation and, you know, masking, distancing, et cetera.
Is it going to be a required vaccine in the New Canaan public schools for all of those eligible?
I have no idea. I mean, they're still working on the state bill that just passed, you know, requiring the normal childhood immunizations, and that's a whole legal battle. So I think there's all that's still being worked out at the state level before you could even do anything locally.
Yeah, nothing definite. You know, they're trying to remove the quote religious unquote exemption. And so everyone for the previous immunizations would be required. There would be no out. I personally think, you know, having gone through this pandemic, that it will be mandated, but one never knows. A lot of different angles to it, but as of now, nothing. Next on the agenda, Bethany, Human Services.
Hi, everybody. All right. So the past month, our synopsis has been, we've been helping Jen with her clinics, and, you know, definitely we've seen the trend that she relayed a moment ago. Also, the United Way contacted us and has given us $4,000 towards the food pantry. They also have 100,000 masks they received, and they would like to give some to us. Jen, I mean, we've asked for 500 only because, you know, they do want to give us some. Does the town need any? Do you want me to get more?
I don't need any. I have 20,000. So
That's what I thought.
you
Okay.
want to get some for yourself for the food pantry.
Yeah. Okay. That's why we picked up 500. All right. In regards to the food pantry, we've been doing once a month, and this week, I mean, next Tuesday, we start the every 2 weeks again. The fresh vegetables and everything will be coming in from the gardens around the area. So we're going to do the every 2 weeks. We're continuing with the same number of shoppers. About 35 shoppers come. That's about 150 150 individuals receiving food within the 35 shoppers. So the families, the numbers are adding up. New Canaan moms have been very generous. They have donated books to the families at the food pantry. They gave out the girl who wrote the poem for the presidential inauguration. They've given those out. And we've also a number of organizations as well as the moms gave us thousands of dollars for the gift cards around town. So we distributed those items to the food pantry residents, and they were very, very happy, grateful, as well as the restaurants in the area. We tried to keep it at the individually owned, like Pressburger and the pizza places and Chicken Joe's, keeping it local. The schoolhouse apartments and Lapham Center have asked to continue to start up the blood pressure clinics again. So I will be doing that every 2 weeks at the Lapham Center and once a month at the schoolhouse. So we'll start those. The area directors, every 2 weeks we have a meeting from Greenwich up to Trumbull. And they're finding the trend has been very low in financial assistance, but we're expecting that to increase as the programs, the state and federal program assistance start to decrease and evictions start, things like that. So countywide, we have not given a lot of money out like we anticipated. But we are expecting an increase. The camps, I'm going to let Jackie tell you the input in terms of family and youth. And Marcy could not make it this morning, although Jen, she will be at the clinic. She just had a family matter. But I want to give you, Harrison, can we move to her report? But that finishes up mine.
Yeah, but two things, Bethany, if you could just discuss the intercom in that episode.
Oh, okay. So we've upped security a little bit at Human Services. We had an incident where a non-resident did enter the facility last week, and it was a little bit alarming. So I had Enza call the police, and just for some backup, they came. They were fantastic. The person was definitely did not have a place of residence and was requesting things in a very unfamiliar way that someone normally comes in and asks for assistance. So that was handled very well. At the same time, we did recognize the vulnerability of Human Services. We do not have any windows that work. We have the one door, and when the person came in, we were all in our offices, and in an event, we would have been unable to get out. So that being said, we now have a doorbell. The door is locked. We have a camera to show any videos of people coming and entering, and we are getting an intercom so that we know who is coming in, and we're able to have a better surveillance to see, just making it less vulnerable to keep our residents safe as well as the staff. So that's going into effect. We're also getting a keypad so we can enter the building, and we just realized, we're definitely sitting ducks here. Nobody knows, there's nobody upstairs during the day, and it's just us. So I did grab my panic button, and I had that in my hand, did not need to use it. The police came and very, very quickly, and nothing that escalated at all. But I did have to ask the person whether he was a danger to himself or others, and the answer was no. So we were able to resume, and believe that he spent the night in the area. He was seen again the next day, but he's left. So that's what it is. And it happens in our town too. So we just want to be a little more vigilant and safe. And so our process of entering the building now is a little more secure. So
Thank you, Bethany. And the only other little thing to mention is that we did extend, if that's the proper term, $2,500 to Lance's drug-free fare, or whatever the terminology is. And
Yeah,
that's-
Jackie's gonna go through that, working, yeah. Well, yeah, we'll definitely. that'll
Okay,
be
great. Thank
included.
you. Okay,
Thank
Jackie, I guess you're next. Youth and
So I
Family
don't
Services.
forget the Lance announcements. I saw him at the gym, so this was in passing, and he said he wouldn't be able to make the meeting, but he was great enough to meet with Bethany, and they were able to come up with 2,500. I think it's from a public health account, and it's going to go to the vigil. So it's Paul Reinhardt's. I believe it's his 5th year of the vigil, 4th or 5th year. I can't believe it. And right now he's still kind of playing around with if some of it will be Zoom, and then some people will gather in the town, so he could offer. He definitely got more viewers last year when it was a Zoom event, and it was amazing. It was pre-taped. I had goosebumps watching that. You know
That's
what
great.
the date is? Don't kill me. I'll get back on the date. It's September. It's a Thursday night. I'll get back to you on that. I'm sorry, I didn't have that right in front of me.
I
but
think
we
it's
have
the
time.
first Thursday in September, and the rain date is
September.
Friday.
Yeah. Okay. And then the other piece was Joyce, I guess, has changed her gala date a couple of times. And so now it's firmly, I think, Wednesday, May 26th.
For the
I
ramp.
think Zoom as well. I believe that's a Zoom. If anyone wants more information, I can contact Joyce today and get that.
For the Ram Council, Jackie? I mean, for the Ram?
Ram Council.
Okay.
Sorry, and Lance is on the board of that. And that's been something that I know some people probably here have attended. I know Kevin has attended. And it used to be at the country club. And then obviously last year she had to do a Zoom, but I do think this year it's a Zoom again. Okay, so that covers Lance's info. Right now is just a busy time with gearing up with, obviously I have 10 family pool pass requests. So we offer a reduced rate on that. That does not consist of all the families. It's just the ones that have the reduced amount of money to pay right now. The pool is opening May 29th. So I'm sure I will have more families that, and we vet them to make sure if they could afford more than the reduced rate of 150, then we would ask for that. And we've gotten creative we have some families that have some young adults in the home that don't attend college, but that would be an individual cost. So we've kind of worked out with Steve Banco if we could do reduced for some of those, which has been great. And on a rare occasion, we really ask that the families can pay for this, but on a rare occasion, we have some families that do not even have that extra money to pay 150. So we really make that determination on if we can help. So I do have one family that's going to fall into that category. Hopefully there won't be too many more of those. Also, we have a lot of camp requests. What I've said in the past years is that the YMCA does their own financial assistance, so families can go directly to them and they will give a reduced rate depending on the family income. The recreation department works with us. They actually have more sessions this year, but they're doing week sessions instead of 2-week sessions. So that's changed. It's a shorter day. But we're still able to figure out and offer families a reduced rate for that. We can't do all the sessions, obviously, but the good news is more people have requested, they are wanting to go back to camp. I think last summer, for obvious reasons, the camps that were offered, some of them I don't even think met capacity. So the good news is more people are signing up and even filling up those lists. So we've got to move quickly to help these families. Also, an interesting thing that's happened is that I have about 6 families that I wrote in front of me that landlords are either trying to sell their homes. So that really puts those families in a very vulnerable position. There is no housing, no affordable housing. They're not taking applications over at Canaan Parish. I mean, so that's 6 families that are going to be displaced. And even when you look in Norwalk and surrounding towns, I mean, you can't touch anything under maybe 2,500 for a 2-bedroom. And I mean, I have one family has 4 kids. I mean, so I'm really concerned, but I think for obvious reasons, either landlord are they'll get the most money at this point if they sell those properties, or maybe there's other reasons. But that's really concerning to me for those families, because they'll call us asking, and they're asking if Canaan Parish has openings, but we're hearing at this point they don't. One good news about Canaan Parish, the school is working with them, and I found out this information in the last week or so, on offering, once the building is up, they'll have a communal space. So and I think it came about because of school start times. That's going to be tricky for some of these working families, that if school gets out earlier, what do those kids do after school? So I think that's really what began this conversation. They are going to have staff go over to Canaan Parish and have an after school homework club type thing for kids that live there. So we also thought maybe Millport kids could join that. This has been a need for many, many years, and we just never had the space. So this is just amazing news. They also want to use the space if there were program for seniors over there, if it's, computer literacy. So this is just, I think about all the other things we could offer if this, this really takes off. So I'm really excited for that. I have one new family that came on. She was someone that during COVID, there was a domestic, and it's taken this long, unfortunately, for the family to kind of, reach our doors for, various probably reasons. I think she's been busy with kids being remote. So that's great. I have 2 other financial assessments that are out there for 2 new families, but I know that the Canaan Parish will definitely bring more families, to our door as well. I had 3 DV calls this month, more young adult issues in the house, and, offering as many referrals as I can for those families. I also have been keeping track of outside referrals that come in addition to the families that we serve. And I had about 15 other referral calls. One, interestingly enough, was from the early days of COVID, when we talked about the mental health and a task force and making referrals. I actually had a mom that had my information from then. So it was good job on the school's part. And she reached me, last week for a referral. So that was amazing to know that maybe they didn't need it right then, but hung on to my number. So that was great. And Eversource made a referral here for a family for fuel assistance. So it's just really interesting how they're coming in. It's various things for counseling, obviously a lot of housing calls. The school, obviously, we have a new housing coordinator at Millport, and she's called, confused about how to deal with a couple of cases over there. So that's great. I really think, people know now. We used to say they don't know we're here. They really definitely know we're here and are utilizing us. So I'm really happy about that. One last thing is, we tried to bring Emily Torchiana last year during COVID. She was going to speak at the library. She's a TED Talk speaker and a suicide attempt survivor. She's from California. She's probably in her 20s. So the event, New Canaan Cares, is able to hold it. It's Wednesday, May 19th, from 7 to 8:30 at Woodway. So there's going to be a small portion in person. I'm going to be attending that. And then you can also join virtually on Zoom. It will not be recorded because that's not something she would allow, but her story tells a lot about cyberbullying, mental illness, sexual assault. So she spoke in Darien a few years ago, and we've been trying to get her. She's amazing for parents and kids. I mean, she really knows how to, and this would really the title is Shattering the Stigma of Mental Health, a conversation for parents and teens. So please try to tune in if you can that night. Obviously, if you can't make it, they're probably not allowing a ton of people in person, but this would be a must. So it's on the New Canaan Cares website. Just register and they'll send you the Zoom link. But please, 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 if you can, that would be a great thing not to miss. And if anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask me or
I
contact
have
me.
a comment, Jackie, in that in the COVID coping area, I had sent out a note from the Let's Talk About It group that's just launching a new podcast about how parents can deal with mental health with their children. But I just wanted to give a congratulations to Jackie for her regular newsletter, which goes on top of the Let's Talk About It program. From a standpoint that there's not much more we can do. in terms of educating the community and particularly with our children. But if the marketing group of Let's Talk About It is meeting on Monday, and if you have any new ideas of unmet needs, please let me know, or Lauren Patterson at the New Canaan Foundation, who's sort of heading the thing up. But nevertheless, Jackie's newsletter plus the website from Let's Talk About It, again, provides like one of the richest resources that leaves no stone unturned as far as I'm concerned about, particularly with our youth. So thank you, Jackie.
Thank you, Jim. And also what we know, I'll just say one comment on that, is that, when people are in a crisis, this is something I was in the resource group of like Lauren's, the Community Foundation had 3 groups: marketing, data, and resources. I was in that group. And a lot of what the group and I talked about was we have so many resources and we don't know why they don't get in front of a family when they need it. And we still remember it's about relationships, so people that know me will contact me. I feel like over the years, I've belonged to the Y for 15 plus years. I've met a ton of parents just connecting there. People are always asking me for even staff at the Y, but I think they're going to also go to Paul Reinhardt. They'll go to the churches. So it's important for us to keep those relationships and all of us in communication with one another, because we have these great resources. But also when you're going through a crisis, it's a tough time to kind of think straight and realize like what you need at that time. So it's really good to have that person. That's why I love the idea of like a recovery coach, people like that. And that's becoming more, prevalent. So people can, go to those people for those resources. But thank you, Jim, for being a part of that.
Great.
Jackie, with real estate values continuing to climb in the area and more landlords, I guess, looking to cash out, I can see this homeless issue, affordable housing, just continue to mushroom. So I'm wondering what policy that we should have, that we should work together, collaborate on to address this issue. Because I can see very easily these 6 families go to 18 families relatively quickly. And what coordinated policy or can we work together to have a safety net for these individuals?
Yeah, I mean, that might be something we talk offline about.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. That really does scare me. I mean, these are just the ones that we know about
And
that think they're navigating it.
I wanted to point out how human services, when we offer assistance, and this is what many of the agencies do in the area, we offer assistance if they can maintain living here. We can't maintain them living here. So it's unfortunate, because if they can't afford rent, we can't assist them every month with their rent. We get them out of a crisis mode and back on track, with the food pantry, with some quick cash assistance to pay rent, to pay the bills, to get them on their feet and moving again in a positive direction. So it's sad to see families having to be, sometimes the only choice is to have them uprooted. The HUD, Housing and Urban Development, there is a customer service, and the United Way calling 211 for help in sheltering and apartments. And it's unfortunate, but human services, we have only our capacity to help get them out of a situation, not keep them living here. And this is what makes it very difficult for Jackie and Marcy. Human services itself is we are not a tank for people coming into to continue to survive here. And this is what's very sad, is to see these families go and the children to be uprooted and put in another school system. And it's a very stressful, scary time for these families. But we do whatever we can. And as Jackie said, the resources that are out there, there are resources. And the more we network and talk to these agencies, and it's just having United Way, contacting them and then giving us that $4,000 this month. It creates a partnership, and that's why it's just so important. And so human services definitely is continuing to do that, but it's just, it's going to be stressful. And as I said, the area is going to be seeing these evictions, and exactly what Jackie described. So we're going to, every individual situation, some are going to be a heartache, and others, people are going to be able to get jobs and regroup and be able to stay here. But we cannot support someone staying here on a monthly basis. It's just not what.
Well, one thing that we may consider, and maybe you guys do this already, you probably do, but maybe, I'm sure Greenwich is having the same issues, and other parts of Fairfield County are. Maybe we can get together as a community and see if we can help find a solution. And sometimes that may be a hotel for temporary that we just work on collaboratively with, or not. But I just see it being a larger and larger issue.
Yeah, and that's when I meet with the directors, and that's what we see coming down the pike. And definitely, once again, we have, the human services of each individual town together, and that's a source of a wealth of information in terms of what to do. So we're on it, and
But let me make sure, there's two things that can happen. One is people or family circumstances get suddenly worse, loss of a job, health problem, whatever. But the other thing that can happen is they may be doing the same, but the place they're living is, I'll say, sold out from under them or no longer available to them. And that's what's happening, is that the residents, the rental locations being put on the market and sold and repurposed or upgraded or whatever.
Yes. Yeah. And I think, yes, I mean, it's just that their landlords are selling the homes, and that doesn't always mean the new person buying it wants to keep those tenants. Maybe they want to move in themselves.
Yeah.
So that's the issue. You're absolutely right. A couple of them, and then I now will add to the number of 6, 7, it's someone that hasn't been able to afford rent. So when the lease ends, the landlord obviously would have to let them know, I think 60 days in advance, that they're not going to renew that, but that situation would be that because that person can't afford, which could open up that housing for one of those other families that can still pay what they're paying. I would say the most out of this, I have someone paying $2,600, which isn't terrible, but you literally cannot find anything in any surrounding towns, which a family might, if employment isn't keeping them to this area. We all know this. I know these schools are great, but you might need to look in an area like, up north, if it's, or the valley or somewhere like that. I mean, if you're not stuck here because of employment, you can't think of the schools. It's a great school system, but if there's no housing, and if you take a look, Heritage Hill, I think, is the only place that has maybe a 1-bedroom for like 2,400, and that is it. And also, I just found out that Avalon, which I had no idea, Avalon has been here 20 years. I had no idea that was the case. They don't have to offer after the 20th year affordable housing anymore. So they have some families there that maybe are paying under $2,000 to live there. They're not going to have to offer that anymore. I guess they fulfilled their requirements. So that's going to also, those families are going to be in need too. And I don't know how many live there. So.
Yeah, and we do not get involved in contractual agreements between landlord and tenant. It's a fine line. So we're doing all we can to help them, but sometimes it's unfortunate that they have to leave the area and we just can't sustain them.
The new
Jackie's great at the family, she's great at working it.
Yeah. The new units being constructed now at Canaan Parish, will that offer any relief for people?
So I spoke with the regional manager at Westmount Management, and that's the management company for that project. They've been directing that area for years. They've been working as the property manager. They've now taken Millport on as well, which is great because we have a very good relationship with them. So apparently most of these apartments are going to be tax credits only. They're not going to have many Section 8. Only the top floor is going to be Section 8. It's all elevators and ADA access and totally compliant. but those are already taken with the residents that are at Canaan Parish now. There
Mhm.
might be a couple, and they've been through our, forming a strong rapport. They're going to work with Human Services in terms of seeing the necessity for those that really have a need to get into Section 8 apartments. They just, in order to make that the medium, hold on. For the second building, there's going to be 40 units, and you get a tax credit based on your income, and there's going to be income limits. It's all tiered. So for a family, let me see, 8 people maximum can live in the apartment. So 4 bedrooms, that's what they're going to have. No, 3 bedrooms at Canaan. They're not going to have 4. They have 3 bedrooms, and 60% of the median income for a studio, you would pay $1,500. For a 3 bedroom, you're going to pay $2,350. Now, some of those are going to be Section 8, a few of those, so they would pay 30% of that. But there's a
Wow.
whole formula with HUD, and it's just very confusing. And once again, supply will definitely be under demand. So, and yeah.
What does it take, Bethany, to qualify as low income?
Well, as low income is different than affordable income.
All right.
So low income, oh my gosh, one person has to make less than 24,000 a year. A couple has to make less than 36,000. I mean, it's really, really low. Family, I don't know all the tiers in terms of household numbers, and that is on the state website. You can go on HUD and learn all about, or you can go on Connecticut Housing and Urban Development, and you can learn all about tax credit versus low income Section 8 housing versus a portable voucher versus a private voucher. And they don't, Human Services, they want us to stay out of it. It's interesting. HUD has their own, you've got to contact HUD.
Yeah, bottom line is 36,000 for a couple might work in Mississippi, but it's not going to go very far in Fairfield County.
Well, and that's high, 36,000. Usually like in Mississippi, it's like 15,000. So they raise it here, in Connecticut. So you're talking a family, a couple, an older couple on Social Security.
Yeah, the good news is there's a major demand for employment, low income, meaning less than, well, actually even college educated people. Right now, the job market is extremely strong across the state. They can't find enough people to fill the jobs because many of them are waiting for the federal support programs to end in September. And again, there are jobs going begging right now. It's terrible.
Yeah. So it's just, everything is just up in the air as always, and it'll settle again. But it's very confusing, and they've structured so many different programs about qualifying for different types of housing assistance. And there's just so many now. So it's not going to be, I mean, people are they call us weekly. We get many, a month. I don't know how many people call us saying, I want to move to New Canaan, and I hear there's going to be Section 8 housing. So how do I apply? As Jackie said, they don't even, they're a wait list. They already have a wait list that they've closed for 2 years, 3 years. It's just unfortunate. And it's like that everywhere.
If
Pardon me?
any of those are seniors in need, if someone could reach out to us and see if we can use our network to help as well.
Okay. Thank you, Russ. Yeah.
Yeah. If, but I just think that we, collectively, we have a lot of smart people, excluding me, around the table here, that we could, I hope, come up with some way of working with other towns and other communities to help alleviate some of this pressure. Because I just think it's going to continue to grow, and the pressure is going to be
Absolutely
on this division, on this department, not only to provide information, but hopefully to help with this.
Yeah, it's chronic. It's a chronic issue among many, but yeah, this is something that we.
But as Mr. Lisher said, workforce housing is going to be an issue as well. So, collaborating with other communities in our region, and maybe even reaching out to New York State. New York State is not far from our community. Maybe some options.
Yeah, we've got to get creative. Yeah, that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, you think reopening New York City may have a positive effect, but it's not in the near future.
Yeah.
If ever. Speaking about Jackie and Bethany, about all the resources we have, physicians groups, and we may have mentioned this before. So physicians have their own channels of things, but often don't have them. And for a myriad of issues, and just making them aware of these options, that instead of functioning in parallel fashion, we could synchronize things. It may be a good way to go, at least in terms of doling out information. FYI. Old business, I think the only item, and Jim referred to it, was with talking about it and, improving marketing strategies, and at least fielding we commission members for opinions or insight or whatever, if there are any. And it's impressive to date what they have done with the marketing.
Harrison, may I do Marcy's, a quick synopsis of what Marcy's doing, just to
Sure.
for the credit. So she has had an increase in multiple referrals for children, adult children of seniors looking for help with home care and case management. Her referrals have definitely, there's been an uptick, and she's answered multiple calls from spouses regarding questions concerning rehab. She has 3 new clients, rental assistance and food pantry as part of the needs of these clients. And her renter's rebate will be starting June 1st, and this is for seniors and disabled residents in town. That's a very popular program, and so she'll be starting that. She's been at Lapham. We've done some Lapham as they have their drive-throughs now. Has done some work with saying hi to those people that are active in the groups. There was a drive-by lunch, and so she was there passing out lunches and just welcoming everybody and seeing their faces back at Lapham. What else? She is definitely doing her out calls, and Harrison, as you said, she is contacting doctors' offices, to letting them know she is there, and to refer clients to them, to human services, if their clients are suggesting or intimating that they need help.
No, I think that's great.
Yep. So that's Marcy's.
Okay. Anything else under old business? New business? I guess the only thing new is the Memorial Day Parade. Looks like it's going to be happening. I'll ask Bethany, who's our representative director. Has HHS ever marched in that?
No.
No, they have not. I don't know if the topic has been brought up, actually.
We can take it offline and discuss it. It is going to be a long march. It's going to be
Maybe a float, Bethany, HHS float.
At least we'll be playing the fife and drum, maybe.
Does Waveney march? Waveney doesn't march either, right? So.
Yeah, we don't think Waveney should be marching. Our seniors should be marching down that hill.
Well, your senior people can't take that walk. This year, it's going to be a little longer. It's down Owen, Maine, up Cherry, down south, down Harrison, and we probably should have EMS stationed at about each block.
Yeah.
Staying put has marched for years. It's a pretty old gang. So.
Well, we have some very active seniors. I'm sure they could put on more mileage than all of us combined. But as a group, I don't think it'd be advisable. I just had one thing under new business quickly, Mr. Chairman, and thanks to Jim Lisher's tireless work on telehealth and others in our state and throughout the country. Telehealth reimbursement from the federal government's back on the agenda of Congress, and a HEAP bill has been reintroduced. So I just want to make everyone aware of the importance of telehealth, telemedicine, and knowing that it's, if you can reach out to your representative, that would be, I think, a wonderful thing.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. It's not a controversial topic. Telehealth is definitely a positive, but we don't want it supplanting direct physician care. And I'm out of the business somewhat, so it's not for financial reasons, but there are liabilities, and it's in many avenues, it's less than optimal. But in some, it's a perfect solution. And those who are homebound, those who have psychiatric disorders, and a myriad of other issues, it seems to work better than person to physician encounters. But for the most part, and we did mention acute care or that possibility, better seeing the physician.
Yeah, the big opportunity is in wellness management, to stay out of the doctor's office, but at some point you still have to go. So your job is secure, Harrison.
Okay.
Last month, you reported that the numbers at Yale Children's Hospital were up significantly for COVID and for behavioral health. What are the numbers looking like now?
I don't have anything updated since then, but they had popped up to about 200 inpatients, if I remember correctly. And the behavioral issue, which has always been an issue, it's become the dominant pediatric problem. Immunizations, et cetera, have taken care of a lot of issues, and also, more modern treatments with the biologics, with things of common yesteryear, like, head trauma management with CTs, MRIs, et cetera, and asthma, which was a big one, gastroenteritis with the immunizations. But so mental health has really come to the fore, and they are full. They have 54 beds up at Yale Child Institute, and on their pediatric wing that's developed to functions as a behavioral center. And there's just, there's always been a dearth of psychiatric care, both outpatient and inpatient in Connecticut, and probably universal. So that's what they're dealing with. So they've 54 beds up there. They're totally full. It takes a week to two to get someone in. And a lot of these are acute care things, suicide, drugs, whatever the issue is. So they keep them often floundering around the emergency room for 24 to 48 hours until they can find some disposition for them or admit them to their own hospital. So yeah, it's an ongoing problem. I would think and hope right now that the numbers are down somewhat, following the state, but it's hard to say. There's a lot of variance from one locality to another in terms of COVID incidents. And just having the dominant strain be a little more contagious and a little more severe is problematic. Does that not answer it? Okay, so our next meeting is June 3rd. And any other topics that we didn't cover, or someone want to comment? I think we've done. Okay, may I have a motion to adjourn, please?
Motion made.
Second.
All those in favor? Okay, great
Thank-
meeting with you. Enjoy Memorial Day and the parade. Stay healthy.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.